The Supreme Court is at it again with yet another decision out of this. We have found the definitive answer as to where the new spike of cases is coming from here, even though the CDC might stop calling the COVID-19 crisis an epidemic. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, everybody. We got a bunch to get to here today. I want to touch on something that was mentioned in the live chat yesterday here before we get started, because I had mentioned the fact that somebody had hit the Jakes going by, and I believe it was Ron that said that they were complaining about the fact that towns say that you can't run the Jakes. The guy actually wasn't running the Jakes through town. A fairly major highway runs I'm right on the edge of the town that I live in, and a fairly major highway butts up against the town there, just out over there. So he was, from the distance and the sound of it, I was actually probably most likely outside of town on the highway, on the bypass of the highway. So there was no harm, no foul there, but yeah, I could hear the Jakes from where I was sitting. So just wanted to clear that one up as we went along here, but we've got a bunch of other stuff here to get to today. There's a bunch of news, as you can see across the top there, so we're going to have to get started. But before we do, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. Looks like our friend Steven over there put out a new Call Me Ignorant episode, which I'm guessing was pretty good. I was gaming at the time that he put it out, so I haven't had the chance to listen to it yet, but as soon as it hits the audios, we'll be there. Otherwise, you can find my shows. You can find Wide Shows, which that's going to be coming up with a new title coming up here. You can find The Generational Gap, The Freckles and Brit Show, The R-Rated Conservative, and much, much more. Go ahead and check out our merch and our swag. Pick up some Freedom Scoop gear and wear that around proudly. And when people ask you, send them on over to the website and spread the word. Tell a friend, tell 10. All right. As per usual, we're going to start out looking at the stocks today. And looks like we had a nice big W yesterday for a nice close up here, so it looks like things are doing well again. I kind of figured that this whole Blackout Tuesday thing was going to affect stocks because people were going to sell off because they saw on the social media that nobody was going to spend money that day. And on the other side of it, we also had the fact that we still got some other things going on around as well. But let's see what the investors experts have to say on this. From IBD, another advertisement. Dow Jones Futures, Apple, Amazon lead coronavirus stock market rally. Tesla very close to full self-driving, Musk claims. No! I am not buying myself a self-driving car. I don't care how many laws they try and force down my throat. Because that just lends itself to a Fifth Amendment violation. Oh, we suspect you of committing a crime? Oh, well, we're just going to make your self-driving car drive you to the courthouse. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice, folks? All right, let's see what they have to say here. Dow Jones Futures edged lower Thursday, while S&P 500 and NASDAQ Futures rose modestly. The coronavirus stock market rally rebounded Wednesday from Tuesday's sell-off, with growth names leading and Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon running to all-time or closing highs. All three tech titans rose about 1% in pre-market trading, while China stocks continued daily. Kirkland Lake Gold, SSR Mining, Pan American Silver, Marvel Technology Group, Fortinet, PetMed, Datadog, MSCI, and Zynga. The video game guys? I didn't even know they still existed. All cleared buy points. I haven't played a Zynga game since I still lived in Kenosha, which has been 5 years at this point. I didn't know that they were still playing social games. Meanwhile, Tesla and Chinese rival NIO finally reversed lower after surging over the last several days. Meanwhile, more speculative Nikola rebounded and powerfully after selling off for several days. I like that the beginning of this is Kirkland Lake Gold, SSR Mining, and Pan American Silver. I bet you Ben Shapiro's got a little Woody in his pants here. Go ahead, buy your Birch Gold. Look, we got stocks going up on all these precious metals. Go buy your Birch Gold. All right, that's enough making fun of Shapiro for the day. Overnight, Tesla CEO Elon Musk said the company is very close to full autonomous driving capability. Once again, no. Tesla stock nudged higher in the pre-market while NIO and Nikola stock jumped. It's amazing that they're coming up to this point of, well, we're going to get to self-driving, autonomous self-driving. And I'm still sitting over here wishing to God that I had a manual transmission. I mean, Stephen Ignoramus, if you guys talk to him, will attest to the fact that I still reflexively reach for the stick shifter, even though I have. When's the last time I owned a manual transmission? Or drove one regularly? I think it was 2014, 2015, somewhere in there when I drove it regularly the last time. So it's been a good 5 to 6 years, and I still do it instinctively. Kirkland Lake stock, SSR mining stock, and Pan American Silver all broke out of conventional buy points. So did MSCI stock, Zynga stock, and arguably Marvell stock. I don't know what Marvell is compared to Marvel. I know Marvel is Disney, but Fortinet stock and PetMed cleared early entries. Datadog stock blasted past a short consolidation, offering an add-on buying opportunity. Fortinet stock and Tesla stock are on IBD leaderboard, along with Apple stock, Microsoft stock, and Amazon stock. MSCI stock and Microsoft stock are on the IBD long-term leaders list. Marvel stock and Fortinet stock are on Swing Trader. PetMed stock is on IBD 50. In other news, Costco Wholesale just got a brand new free commercial from a guy screaming in their store and reported 11.5% same-store growth in June. Crushing views for 4.2%. E-commerce sales, which remain a relatively small share of total revenue, leapt 86%. Costco stock edged higher overnight. German software giant SAP reported better than expected second quarter results and reaffirmed full year guidance. SAP stock soared before the open. Soared, I tell you. All right, let's have a look at the futures. Dow Jones futures fell 0.1% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.1%. And NASDAQ 100 futures rose 0.55%. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. U.S.-listed China stocks signaled solid or strong gains again, including Alibaba, JD.com, NetEase, and GSX Tech Edu. All right, and we'll talk about the coronavirus elsewhere in the program here. So that's what IBD has to say for this. Looks like you might want to get yourself onto maybe your, maybe your non-Dow stocks today because the futures are up. But we will see what happens tomorrow when we look at the chart again. All right, from CNBC, Stock Market Live, Wednesday, big tech buoys, NASDAQ 1.4%, Dow adds 177. Airlines finish off lows from the CNBC staff. Looks like we've got just a little bit of story here, some bullet points, but we'll skip those here. 16 hours ago, stock closed higher as tech rally buoys, NASDAQ 1.4%. Big tech continued to carry the broader market higher on Wednesday and again allowed the NASDAQ composite to outpace the S&P 500 and the Dow Industrials. The NASDAQ rose 1.4% between a 2.3% rally in Apple, 2.7% rise in Amazon, and a 3.49% climb in Nvidia. The S&P 500 notched a more modest 0.79% gain, while Microsoft and Goldman Sachs helped push the Dow up 177 points, or 0.69%. Airline stocks cut their losses in afternoon trading, and some even turned positive. Shares of United, which warned more than 30,000 employees of possible layoffs early Wednesday, rose 0.5%. American gained 0.6%. Delta was trading 0.3% below break-even after being down more than 3% earlier on in the session. Morgan Stanley's Tesla analyst says the power of hope is carrying stock. Hope of change, folks. That's what I'm going to be. And when I read off the teleprompter, I'm going to tell you it's going to be hope and change. But if I can't read off my teleprompter, I'm not going to know what to say. Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jones, who's garnered the following for his coverage of Tesla, wrote in a note on Wednesday that the electric car company's equity rally is increasingly a product of the power of hope. Jonas reiterated his underweight call on Tesla, said that China risks competition from big tech and high expectations are reasons to value its equity far below current levels, around $1,400 a share. Jonas has a price target on Tesla of $740, representing 46% downside from Tuesday's close. So we've got a couple things moving here. I cannot do a self-driving car. I'm sorry. No matter what they try and push down my throat, I can't do it. All right, let's keep going here, talk about some of the news here and some victories for the freedom of speech and the Supreme Court doing what it is supposed to here to start off with. From Fox News, Supreme Court rules in favor of Little Sisters of the Poor in Obamacare contraception case. From Tyler Olson, Ron Blitzer, and Shannon Bream. The Supreme Court ruled Wednesday that the Trump administration acted within its authority when it expanded exemptions to the ACA's requirement for employers to provide insurance coverage that includes contraception in a victory for Little Sisters of the Poor, the Catholic group that has been at the center of the national debate over the mandate. The court ruled 7-2 in favor of the Trump administration and the Catholic charity that cares for the elderly in two related disputes against Pennsylvania, which sued over the validity of the rule from the Trump administration that allowed religiously affiliated groups and some for-profit companies to opt out of providing contraception coverage to employees. The majority opinion, written by Justice Clarence Thomas, ruled that the Trump administration's challenged rulemaking was above board and hailed the work of the Little Sisters of the Poor. For 150 years, the Little Sisters have engaged in faithful service and sacrifice, motivated by a religious calling to surrender all for the sake of their brother, Thomas wrote, but for the past 7 years, they, like many other religious objectors who have participated in the litigation and rulemaking leading up to today's decision, have had to fight for the ability to continue in their noble work without violating their sincerely held religious beliefs. He added, "We hold today that the departments had the statutory authority to craft that exemption as well as contemporaneously issued moral exemption. We further hold that the rules promulgating these exemptions are free from procedural defects." Little Sisters of the Poor, Sister Constance Veit, told Shannon Bream on Fox News at night earlier this year that following the ACA mandate was unthinkable. "We dedicate our lives to this because we believe in the dignity of every human life at the stage of life forms from conception until natural death," Veit said. "So we've devoted our lives by our religious vows to caring for the elderly, and we literally are by their bedside, holding their hand as they pass on to eternal life. So it's unthinkable for us, on the one way, to be holding the hand of the dying elderly, on the other hand, possibly be facilitating the taking the innocent unborn life." So, and this comes down from the top-down decision off of this. Now, I've said from the beginning, from the ACA, that it was a 10th Amendment violation, but up until Trump says he has authority, nobody cares about the 10th Amendment, but it absolutely was, and that's a part of the reason that we're looking at the fact that this is a 10th Amendment thing. Your state or your locality should have the autonomy to tell you what health care you need in a case where they think that you need to have health care from the top down. It shouldn't be a federal government thing, but the fact of the matter is once it's a federal government thing, that means that Supreme Court rulings are mandate, because we have unelected bureaucrats that come out and make laws from the bench. So now this is going to come from the top down, and now you've got to deal with it. But we'll talk a bit in just a second about how they're going to deal with this, but we'll talk about the other decision first. So moving on here from Yahoo News. In LA case, Supreme Court rules job discrimination laws don't protect church and school teachers. It's via the LA Times rather, from David G. Savage. The Supreme Court on Wednesday barred teachers who work at church-run schools from filing discrimination lawsuits against their employers, ruling that the Constitution's protection for religious liberty exempts church schools from state and federal anti-discrimination laws. The justices, by a 7-2 vote, shielded 2 Catholic elementary schools in Los Angeles County from discrimination claims by 2 teachers who complained they were unjustly fired, one due to an illness and the other due to age. The court found that since such schools are part of a church's religious mission, the government may not interfere with decisions about hiring, supervision, and firing of teachers. So, this technically went the right way, but it kind of sucked that it went the right way the way that it did. Now, of course, the government should be out of everything at this point, and the government shouldn't be in there telling you who you can and cannot hire. But they're doing so by the imaginary separation of church and state clause that's in the First Amendment. That's the only part of the First Amendment that the left knows exists. So, on a couple things, I tend to go with this because, yeah, like I said, the government shouldn't be telling you who you can and cannot fire. And if you really do want to take a lawsuit, then you should just take it up in a civil court rather than trying to take it to the Supreme Court. But here we are. This should be the same for all employees too, by the way. Not just a religious one. So, a couple different things that are going along with this. But let's see what they have to say in dissent to the Little Sisters of the Poor, because that's the one that's getting all the attention right now. Biden says he would restore pre-Hobby Lobby contraceptive mandate in wake of Little Sisters ruling. From Tyler Olson. Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden was one of many on the left who expressed dismay at the Supreme Court's Wednesday ruling that the Trump administration acted within its authority when it expanded exemptions to the ACA requirement that employers provide insurance that includes contraception, and promised he would return to an Obama-era policy should he be elected. As disappointing as the Supreme Court's ruling is, there's a clear path for fixing it. Electing a new president who will end Donald Trump's ceaseless attempts to gut every aspect of the Affordable Care Act. Biden said in a statement, "If I'm elected, I will restore the Obama-Biden policy that existed before Hobby Lobby ruling, provide an exemption for houses of worship, and an accommodation for nonprofit organizations with religious missions. Because, if I sniff them, something might happen if they don't have contraception. I gotta make sure that my tracks are covered." Years of litigation and the election of a new president have slowly morphed the original form of contraceptive mandate. The ACA did not explicitly mention contraceptives, but said plans must cover certain preventative services laid out by the Health Resources and Services Administration, which included contraceptives. The Obama administration's HSRA always included a broad exemption for bona fide houses of worship, and later came up with a narrower exemption, sometimes termed accommodation, for charity groups with religious affiliations like the Little Sisters of the Poor, which was at the center of Wednesday's decision. The narrower exemption allowed such groups to self-certify that they objected to paying for contraceptives, therefore obligating insurers or a third-party administrator to provide contraceptive coverage to the group's employees. According to a history of the regulation laid out in Justice Samuel Alito's concurring opinion on Wednesday, the Obama administration, however, did not allow for such exemption to take private companies whose owners objected to covering contraceptives, and some charities like the Little Sisters still believed they were complicit in providing contraceptives under the Obama-era exemption for nonprofits. The Supreme Court held in 2014 a case called Burwell v. Hobby Lobby Stores Incorporated that some private companies could take advantage of the Obama exemption that applied to religious groups, and after a years-long dispute involving Little Sisters, it said Wednesday that a Trump administration rule applying the broader house of worship exemption to charity groups is above board. That case is called Little Sisters of the Poor versus Pennsylvania. And I don't know how this got up to the top. I would need to read a little bit more onto the brief. I would need to see a little bit more of how this got to the Supreme Court. However, one of the things that's always bothered me about this is the freedom of association. Now, we look at things like the cake baker case. Bake the fucking cake, bake it. That guy. If we look at that, now, there were cake shops all around that dude that this couple could have gone to get the gay wedding cake and then the gender transition cake. So they were specifically targeting this guy's cake shop, and I really hope that we're not seeing the same thing out of the Little Sisters of the Poor, where people are specifically going against nuns to try and force them to pay for contraception. Now, a couple other things that go along with that, of course, at this point, people are desperate for jobs and they'll take anything that they can get, but for the most part, up until COVID hit and Democrat governors told you that you were forced to stay home, otherwise you might die from the coronavirus. Before that, you had your choice as to where to be employed. So if you were just going to like a nonprofit charity or a Catholic charity or anything like that to go and try and get healthcare services through them that included contraception, you were just being a vindictive bitch. I'm sorry. You have the freedom of association. If they don't believe in what you believe and they won't provide you the coverage that you want, there's nothing forcing you to go there. There's nothing forcing you to work there. You have the freedom to leave and go seek and pursue another job, especially have a nonprofit, because I'm sorry, I don't think that you would be being paid that much if you were on a nonprofit. I don't know, I've never worked for one, but that doesn't seem like a very lucrative career choice. Unless you're really, really into nonprofit, which I am, and I wish that I could afford to do so, but unfortunately I do have to work for a living as well. So, there's a couple moving parts to this, but Good on the Supreme Court for this one, especially. All right, let's keep going here. I got a big surprise for you from the Hill, and I kept scrolled down specifically on this one, so you couldn't see the headline until I scrolled up and said, "Surprise, surprise, Susan Collins signals she won't campaign against Biden." From J. Edward Moreno. Hey, that guy's name is almost the same as mine. Republican Senator Susan Collins said she will not campaign against former Vice President Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee. Collins said in an interview with the New York Times she does not campaign against former colleagues. Collins and Biden served together in the Senate. The New England senator says she knows Biden very well from their days serving in the upper chamber together, and that she doesn't plan to violate her own rule. "I do not campaign against my colleagues in the Senate," Collins told the Times. Collins, a moderate in her party, said publicly in 2016 she would not be voting for President Trump. Surprise! She has since progressively fallen out of favor with Trump, has been reluctant to say if she supports his re-election bid. "My inclination is to just stay out of the presidential and focus on my own race," Collins said. Collins has been a target for Democrats since she voted to confirm Collins has been a target for Democrats since she voted to confirm Brett Kavanaugh at the Supreme Court after several allegations that were unfounded of sexual assault were brought against him. She also faced scrutiny after voting to acquit Trump on impeachment charges. Democrats are backing Maine House Speaker Sarah Gideon for the nomination to take on Collins in November. Gideon outraised the senator in the first quarter. Unfortunately, I think Collins might be done, because there aren't a lot of people that like her right now on either side. According to RCP, Gideon and Collins are running neck and neck in the polls. So, surprise, Susan Collins isn't going to support, or go against Biden, I should say. All right, let's keep going here. So, you know that big surge in coronavirus cases that they told you definitively did not come from people going out and protesting? That big surge of cases definitely didn't come from people going out and protesting. Well, they found where it came from. Trump rally, likely source of virus surge, health officials say. Tulsa County reported 261 confirmed new cases on Monday, a one-day record high, and another 206 cases on Tuesday. At Fox News via the Associated Press. President Trump's rally in Tulsa in late June drew thousands of participants in large protests, likely contributed to a dramatic surge in the new coronavirus cases, Tulsa City County Health Department Director Dr. Bruce Dart said on Wednesday. Tulsa County reported 261 confirmed new cases on Monday, a one-day record high, and another 206 cases on Tuesday. By comparison, during the week before the June 20th Trump rally, there were 76 cases on Monday and 96 on Tuesday. Although the health department's policy is to not publicly identify individual settings where people may have contracted the virus, Dart said that this is politically convenient and I'm going to break those rules. That's not actually what he said, I just figure that's what he's doing. In reality, Dart said these large gatherings more than likely contributed to the spike. In the past few days, we've seen almost 500 new cases, and we've had several large events over 2 weeks ago. So I guess we just connect the dots, Dart said. Trump's Tulsa rally has first since the coronavirus pandemic hit the U.S., attracted thousands of people from around the country. About 6,200 people gathered inside a 19,000-seat BOK Center arena. Gotta love how they gotta put this line in there, right there. 6,200 people gathered inside the 19,000-seat arena. He can't fill arenas anymore, he's done. Far fewer than was expected. Dart had urged the campaign to consider pushing back the date of the rally, fearing a potential surge in the number of coronavirus cases. Trump spokesman Tim Murtaugh said the campaign went to great lengths to ensure those who attended the rally were protected. There were literally no health precautions to speak of as thousands looted, rioted, and protested in the streets, and the media reported that it did not lead to a rise in the coronavirus cases, Murtaugh said in a statement. Meanwhile, the president's rally was 18 days ago. All attendees had their temperatures checked, everyone was provided a mask, and there was plenty of hand sanitizer available for all. It's obvious that the media's concern about large gatherings begins and ends with Trump rallies, he said. Fact check, probably true. Although masks were provided to rally goers, there was no requirement that the participants wear them, and most didn't. So, yeah, it's definitely the Trump rally, not the looting, not anything else. Because, oh, definitely, no. As, as long as you are protesting for the right cause, the coronavirus is scared of it and it won't go. It won't find you if you're protesting for the right cause. I just thought you guys would find that interesting. This is actually kind of a slow news day. I was surprised I was able to fill the top bar as much as I could, but, you know, we still got a bunch of general interest stuff to go on here. From the Daily Wire, Trump signals GOP flexible on 2020 convention plans from Eric Quintanar. President Donald Trump suggested to Voice of America host Greta Van Susteren on Tuesday that the 2020 Republican convention in Jacksonville, Florida, which was previously scheduled to take place in North Carolina, could undergo alternative arrangements should the coronavirus pandemic make the current plans unfeasible. If the numbers continue to go up in Florida and they continue to spike, maybe testing or whatever, but numbers going up, would you consider not having a big convention? Susteren asked Trump during an interview at the White House, reports 1011 Now. We're always looking at different things, responded Trump, who explained that the first location of choice, North Carolina, fell through amidst coronavirus concerns. Then we went to Florida. We signed a few weeks ago. It looked good. And now all of a sudden it's spiking up a little bit. While Trump did not detail any alternative plans, he maintained that the GOP is very flexible and that the timing of the convention will be key. The convention, which is planned for late August, was scheduled to happen in North Carolina until Governor Roy Cooper informed the Republican Party in a letter he could not guarantee the convention could be hosted in full due to coronavirus concerns. With the nation, the state of North Carolina, and the city of Charlotte still under state's emergency, it's important to conduct the RNC convention accordingly, wrote Cooper in the letter. As much as we want the conditions surrounding COVID-19 to be favorable enough for you to hold the convention you describe in late August, it's very unlikely. So, and we've gone over this before, but I mean, it's nice to see that he wants to play nice with everybody. I think that does reach a level of concession that the Democrats don't believe the guy has, and I'd be kind of interested to see where they go with all of this and how it all ends. So we'll see if there's actually an RNC or not, or even a DNC, which I don't think they're going to do because the Bernie bros have vowed in support that they're going to burn down the city of Milwaukee, which may not be the worst thing in the world for the city of Milwaukee. All right, let's keep going here. From CNN. Now, I will admit ignorance to this, so I'm going to reach out after I'm off camera to see if he can explain what's going on with this, because I know that he's got a fair level of military understanding. But I want to read this here so you guys know what's going on with this. From CNN Politics, exclusive, Vindman to retire from military. His lawyer blames White House campaign of bullying, intimidation, and retaliation. From Jim Sciutto. Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman, a key witness in President Donald Trump's impeachment inquiry, is retiring from the U.S. Army after more than 21 years of military service because he determined that his future in the armed forces will forever be limited due to political retaliation by the president and his allies, his lawyer told CNN Wednesday. Vindman has endured a campaign of bullying, intimidation, and retaliation spearheaded by the president following his testimony in the impeachment inquiry last year, according to his attorney, Ambassador David Pressman, who is a partner at Jenner & Block. News of Vindman's retirement masked the culmination of a months-long saga dating back to his public testimony in November. Trump fired Vindman as the top Ukraine expert on the National Security Council in February, and also ousted his twin brother, who also played a key role in impeachment proceedings, while serving at the White House as an NSC lawyer. In recent weeks, the controversy has centered around allegations that the White House was attempting to block Vindman's upcoming military promotion to the rank of colonel. The President of the United States attempted to force LTC Vindman to choose between adhering to the law or pleasing a president, between honoring his oath or protecting his career, between protecting his promotion or the promotion of his fellow soldiers, Pressman said in a statement to CNN. These are choices that no one in the United States should confront, especially one who has dedicated his life to serving it, he added, noting that Vindman did what the law compelled him to do, and for that he was bullied by the president and his proxies. Top Pentagon leaders, including the Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, have insisted that Vindman is not targeted for political reasons. But a source familiar with his decision said military officials have communicated to Vindman that the White House has sought to become involved in the promotion process. In response, Vindman was told that there have been discussions within the Department of Defense about sending his name forward on a list of one or holding his name back until after the election to avoid impacting the promotions of other service members, the source said. It is absurd and frightening for the White House to be involved in the promotions at this level, the source said. Ultimately, Vindman decided to retire from the military rather than attending the National War College, which was his next planned assignment, after speaking with senior Army officials who made it clear that there were forces working against his advancement within the military. Specifically, Vindman was told by senior Army officials that he would no longer be deployable in his area of expertise, which includes Ukraine, the source familiar with the situation told CNN. He was also told by senior officers that he would need a rehabilitative assignment even if he had opted to attend the National War College, an option that he had been considering before Wednesday's announcement, the source said. So once again, I don't necessarily know everything that's going along with this, because military ranking is not necessarily my expertise, but it is to my understanding. First off, even if you do the right thing, you may have to face consequences for that. And if you defy a direct order, which I'm to the understanding that there was a direct order not to testify from the commander-in-chief, if you defy a direct order, you probably shouldn't expect to get your promotion in time. Now, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do at the time, history is going to tell us. And sometimes doing the right thing means that you will have to face consequences for people that are giving you the order to do the wrong thing. I look at some wartime situations as well. People going in and being ordered to kill a group that includes innocents and defying the order probably aren't going to get that promotion, whether or not it was the right thing or not. So there are a few things in play here. I will admit my ignorance to this, but I'm going to have a conversation off mic and see if I can figure out what this all means. All right, so we're going to bookmark that and keep that. And we're going to keep on going down here from Fox News. I got a little block of Fox News here. I apologize. I try to shake it all up here so we don't read from the same sources more than one time in a row, but I really couldn't fit these things anywhere else other than amongst each other. So, from Fox News, Mississippi adding "In God We Trust" to new state flag may prompt a Satanic Temple lawsuit. From Bree Stimson. The Satanic Temple reportedly plans to sue Mississippi if the state adds the words "In God We Trust" to its new flag. The group wrote in a letter to Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch that if the state is going to place a religious phrase on the flag, it should include reference to Satan, The Hill reported. It said it regards "In God We Trust" as an exclusionary religious phrase. The organization commended Governor Tate Reeves for signing legislation in late June to remove the Confederate battle emblem from the flag, but added that removing one divisive symbol from exclusion only to replace it with a divisive symbol of exclusion does not eliminate exclusion, but rather moves it from one group to a collection of others. Under the legislation, Reeves signed June 30th, the new state flag's design cannot have any Confederate imagery and must include the phrase "In God We Trust." Mississippi lawmakers fast-tracked the legislation to change the flag amid racial equality protests that have sparked across the U.S. in the wake of the May 25th death of George Floyd in police custody in Minneapolis. Voters in Mississippi will be asked to decide on the new state flag design in the November ballot. We can imagine that there would be some Mississippians who would be put off by the words "In Satan We Trust" on the state flag, the Satanic Temple wrote in its letter. If you can imagine that, then you might imagine how atheists, Satanists, and other people of non-theistic faiths could feel excluded by the addition of "In God We Trust" to the state flag. "In God We Trust" first appeared on U.S. money in 1864 and became the national motto in 1956. And I notice, I'm willing to bet that these satanic temples still use the currency that says "In God We Trust." They just don't want to salute the flag. And to that I say, I'm sorry, but move. There are 49 other states in this country that don't say "In God We Trust" on the flag. And that's been one of the big victories of federalism around this country. You can go somewhere else if the state that you live in no longer meets your needs. This is why I consider myself a federalist, because there's another place you can go. I think this is idiocy, but it's going out and trying to prove a point and trying to make people bend to the whim of these groups. I am going to bookmark this as well because I want to make sure we talk about this on Monday. All right. And we've talked about this once before, and we talked about this on the Red Ned show last week as well, but looks like we've got another story of this coming up here. Senate Democrats float the idea of ending the filibuster ahead of possible Biden presidency. From Tyler Olson. As legislative gridlock plagues the U.S. Senate and lawmakers, not to mention their constituents, are frustrated with how little seems to be getting done in Washington. That's the point. Some Senate Democrats are floating a possible change in the body's rules that could do away with the legislative filibuster, a guardrail that lets a minority of at least 40 senators prevent a bill from getting to final vote. But many of the Democrats who say they're open to the possible change signed a bipartisan letter in 2017 asking Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to leave legislative filibuster in place. The move also comes as Democrats prepare to potentially take control of the Senate. That's not going to happen this cycle, I'm sorry. And the presidency in November's election, and are concerned Republicans may use the rule to put up blanket resistance to a possible President Joe Biden's agenda, which is the point of having the goddamn filibuster. Senator Jeff Merkley of Oregon, who did not sign the 2017 letter, has been floating proposals that would end the filibuster among colleagues, according to The Hill. A spokesperson for Merkley elaborated on Wednesday in a statement to Fox News. When the Senate doesn't debate or vote on the major issues facing America, it doesn't serve anyone, the spokesperson said in a statement. It continued, Senator Merkley strongly believes that the path to fixing the broken Senate must include more opportunities for the minority to influence floor debate and require votes on their amendments. He is fighting to break the gridlock and ensure that all senators, not just the majority leader, get a say in the floor process. The idea of dispensing with filibuster is being considered by some who signed the 2017 letter, including Senator Chris Coons, who co-authored it with Senator Susan Collins. A spokesperson for Coons told Fox News, "Collins, you say? Were we not just talking about her? Collins just might as well take the away from her name at this point." A spokesperson for Coons told Fox News that he doesn't want to get rid of the filibuster, but he won't sit idly by if Senate Republicans obstruct process on urgent priorities. The letter, authored by Collins and Coons in 2017, came after the Senate had removed other forms of filibusters in the preceding years, which came back to bite them in the ass, by the way. Democrats got rid of the filibuster for most judicial nominees, which is why we have 200 judicial nominees for this year. Slow clap for that. I'm not going to do that because my hands are right under the microphone. While Republicans dispensed with it for Supreme Court nominees because Democrats did it for judicial nominees, senators, however, asked their leadership to keep the rule in place for traditional legislation. We are writing to urge you to protect our efforts to preserve existing rules, practices, and traditions as they pertain to the right of members to engage in extended debate on legislation before the United States Senate, the letter said. It continued, we are mindful in the unique role the Senate plays in the legislative process, and we are steadfastly committed to ensuring that this great American institution continues to serve as the world's greatest deliberative body. Therefore, we are asking you to join us in opposing any effort to curtail the existing rights and prerogatives of senators to engage in full, robust, and extended debate as we consider legislation before this body in the future. Other Democrats who signed onto the letter have also indicated they're shifting their positions, most significantly Senator Kamala Harris. At a CNN town hall in September, she said she would remove the filibuster for Green New Deal legislation. You're not going to like this when you guys lose control. I'm sorry. When you can no longer block something. Because right now, they can block anything that goes through. And they can keep things from going through the Senate, just getting rammed through. Especially if the Republicans take the House again. And they can just ram things through. You are not going to like this. At all. But they're only thinking in the here and now to try and give themselves more power. All right. Let's keep going off of this. From the other side of this, A professor doubles down on prediction model of Trump's chances in 2020 from Joseph A. Wolfson. Despite recent polls that identify Joe Biden as the heavy favorite in 2020, much like the 2016 polls that said 99.999995% chance that Hillary Clinton was going to be the president in 2016, a political science professor is still standing by his prediction model that shows President Trump having a 91% chance of winning in November. Mediaite reported on Wednesday that Stony Brook professor Helmut Norpoth is doubling down on his primary model, which has correctly predicted 5 out of the past 6 elections since 1996, and every single election but 2 in the past 108 years. The primary model gives Trump a 91% chance of winning in November, Norpoth said. This model gets it right for 25 of the 27 elections since 1912, when primaries were introduced. As Mediaite noted, the 2 elections the model failed to predict were the 1960 election of JFK and the 2000 election of George W. Bush. Norpoth's model examines the results of presidential primaries as the strongest indicator as the outcome of the general election, not the polls that dominate the political discussion. According to Norpoth, Biden is a much weaker position than Trump because of his poor showing in the first 2 primary races. Before making the stunning comeback in the South Carolina primary and carrying the following races, Biden came in 4th place in Iowa at just 15.8% of the vote and came in 5th place in New Hampshire at just 8.4%. Norpoth stressed that enthusiasm is key. The terrain of presidential contests is littered with nominees who saw a poll lead in spring turn to dust in the fall, Norpoth told Mediaite. The list is long and discouraging for early frontrunners, beginning with Thomas Dewey in 1948. It spans such notables as Richard Nixon in 1960, Jimmy Carter in 1980, and Michael Dukakis in 1988, George H.W. Bush in 1992, and John Kerry in 2004, to cite just a few of the most spectacular cases. Norpoth's model, which correctly predicted Trump's victory roughly 9 months before the 2016 election, suggests that the president will win by an even wider margin in the Electoral College with 362 electoral votes versus the 304 he earned against Hillary Clinton. Mediaite pointed out such a victory would nearly match Barack Obama's 2008 election when he earned 365 electoral votes and was running against noted warmonger John McCain, who was following in the heels of noted warmonger George W. Bush. So, and I mean, there are a few things at play at this, but I hate to say it, I think he's right, and I do wish that the GOP would come from a position of behind because complacency breeds losses, especially in a race like this, where the media is coming out and telling everybody to hate the president currently as he sits. But one of the things we have to look at is the primary showing and the fact that, I mean, Trump was running essentially unopposed and he was getting votes. Even after he clinched the nomination, he was still getting more votes than the Democrats were in some states combined. People were coming out to run against an incumbent, or to vote for an incumbent president who didn't have to go out and campaign in the primaries. You didn't need to go vote for the guy. Hell, I did a protest vote. I voted for Tulsi in the primary. And a lot of people would have done that as well, just to sow discord in the Democrat Party. And yet, people were going out just enthused in the primary season and go vote for Trump. I think this guy might be right. But we will see what comes out of this. We'll bookmark this for Monday, of course, as well. Now one that's on the itinerary for Monday, which was pointed out to me by my wonderful co-host here. From CNN Business, TikTok is a national security threat. U.S. politicians say, here's what experts think. From Brian Fung. The short-form video app TikTok has quickly become a key part of popular culture in the U.S., serving as a platform for viral memes, as well as political satire and activism. Yeah, even if it wasn't Chinese spyware, I couldn't go on TikTok. What is it, like a 30-second video we're allowed to? I'm not even done clearing my throat in 30 seconds. As the great man who also sits behind a golden microphone said once. Facebook, the dominant force in social media, has tried to copy the app, but so far that has not slowed down its rapid rise. So Facebook is going out to try to copy a spyware app so they can get more data so they can sell it back to China anyway. But now TikTok faces the most direct threat to its expansion in the U.S., not from a competitor, but from the U.S. government. President Trump said Tuesday his administration is looking at banning the app, which is owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, affirming remarks on Monday by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. It's just the latest and most high-profile example of Washington raising alarms about the app that's popular among younger users in the U.S., where TikTok has been downloaded 165 million times. Other prominent critics have previously highlighted TikTok as a potential spying threat. Last year, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Arkansas Republican Senator Tim Cotton called for the intelligence community to assess the risk TikTok may pose to national security. TikTok has pushed back on those claims, calling them unfounded. To underscore its independence from China, TikTok has cited its recently hired American CEO and said that it has never provided user data to the Chinese government, nor would we do so if asked. The U.S. is not alone in seeking to clamp down on TikTok. India said this week it would ban TikTok and other Chinese apps after a bloody border clash between Indian and Chinese soldiers. Although leaders like Pompeo have described TikTok as a clear and present danger, many in the cybersecurity community say the reality is more complex. While TikTok could become a clear threat to U.S. security under certain scenarios, they say the danger is currently largely hypothetical or indirect. Some analysts also say the matter is complicated by Trump's aggressive approach to China overall, arguing the situation is a reflection of the administration's political priorities. Experts have raised similar concerns about Trump's approach to Hawaii, the Chinese tech giant, saying Trump has inappropriately conflated national security with trade negotiations. Now, if you have TikTok on your phone, you should probably just go out and fucking delete it. And if you have Facebook on your phone, you should do that too, but they're not going to come down on Facebook because Zuckerberg owns a few senators. TikTok does not. So it's going to be the same thing as Facebook. They're just going to collect your data while you're going on and using it and go sell it out to people over in China over and over again and repackage it and sell it over again. But this is actually being directly run by a Chinese company. And yeah, I wouldn't do it. Absolutely not. I had it for like a day and I couldn't figure it out anyway. So it's just a bunch of kids dancing. I don't understand. But we are going to talk about it more on Monday. Perhaps the woman to the left of the screen can inform me more about this. From the New York Post, which did not load. Come on. There we go. Tech issues. Birdwatcher not cooperating with investigation into Central Park Karen Amy Cooper. From Elizabeth Rosner. So, to catch you back up, because I haven't read the story yet out of this, they are going to go after Amy Cooper for filing a false police report, or at least attempting to do so. But now, Christian Cooper has decided that he doesn't want to get involved with this, that she suffered enough. Do I have an author on this? Elizabeth Rosner. The man at the center of the Central Park Karen fiasco said he will not cooperate with the Manhattan DA's investigation, according to a new report. Christian Cooper told the New York Times on Tuesday that Amy Cooper, 41, has suffered enough since the May encounter that destroyed her career and reputation. Amy Cooper was charged on Monday with falsely reporting an incident to the third degree. On the one hand, she's already paid a steep price, Christian, 57, told the paper, referring to the criminal charge. That's not enough of a deterrent to others. The avid birdwatcher added, bringing her more misery just seems like piling on, so if the DA feels the need to pursue charges, he should pursue charges, but he can do that without me, he said, adding the greater principles are not at stake. The now viral May video that sparked a national outrage. Amy, a white woman, tells the birdwatcher she's going to call the cops and tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Please tell them whatever you like, Christian, who is no relation, responds. She is seen taking out her cell phone and telling police, I'm in the Ramble, and an African-American man with a bicycle helmet. He's recording me and threatening my dog. She continues, there's an African-American man. I'm in Central Park. He's recording me and threatening myself and my dog. The woman starts to shake and says, I'm sorry, I can't hear. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately. Amy Cooper, who later apologized for the incident, was fired from her job at an investment firm, Franklin Templeton. She is set to be arraigned in October and could face a year in prison for her 911 call. That does seem just a bit excessive, I'm sorry. The whole thing is just blown out of proportion, and, I mean, good on Christian Cooper for trying to back out of this and trying to do the right thing at this point. I mean, you did the wrong thing to begin with. Both people were in the wrong on this, absolutely were. But good on one person for at least trying to make it right at some point. That's what I have on that, though. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to get to on that, but let's keep going on. From the Daily Mail, if it lets me read it, because I might not because I have an ad blocker up. But we can see the headline here. Church of Scientology, said to be worth just under $2 billion, received PPP loans for 3 branches, including one in D.C., that did not save any jobs. Yep, there it went. Alright, so that'll be a short one there because I'm not going to archive it up on air here. But, yep, the Daily Mail is coming out and saying that the PPP loan went to the Church of Scientology that has a whole bunch of money. You can't even join the Church of Scientology if you don't have money, from what I understand. Stephen and I, when we were driving up from Florida, had a short conversation about that before we pulled out the guitar. And I'm still curious as to what's... because, I mean, they seem to control more than a lot of the other churches that are at targets for other people. And I don't know. I can't believe that some of these companies actually got some of these loans. All right, I will archive that. And that, because I can't read this one either. That was a good one too. I wanted to read that one today. We'll check on with that one tomorrow. All right, from The Blaze then, who isn't going to bug me for ad blocking or a subscription. CDC might stop calling COVID-19 an epidemic because of major drop in mortality rate. From Chris Enlow, the coronavirus mortality rate in the United States has dropped so low that the CDC and prevention might stop calling the virus an epidemic. The agency explained last Friday that COVID-19 mortality rate has dropped so low that the percentage is currently at the epidemic threshold. Based on the death certificate data, the percentage of deaths attributed to pneumonia, influenza, or COVID-19 decreased from 9% during the week 25 to 5.9% during week 26, representing the 10th week of a declining percentage of deaths due to the PIC. The agency wrote in a website, according to the CDC, an epidemic is an increase, often sudden, in the number of cases of a disease above what is normally expected in that population in that area. A pandemic is an epidemic happening on a global scale. The CDC's update is good news. The media has been stoking panic for weeks over an increase in cases across the Sun Belt, which has been partly driven by record levels of testing. However, the national data show, as the CDC explained, that the mortality rate for COVID-19 has steadily decreased nationwide after peaking in late April. That metric, in conjunction with the antibody test that has consistently shown scores more people have likely contracted COVID-19 than testing data reflects, means that the mortality rate for COVID-19 is likely much lower than current testing calculations would suggest. In fact, Dr. Scott Atlas explained on Fox News Monday that current testing data is deceptive. Dr. Atlas said the real story is not how many cases, but who gets the cases. As the median age for COVID-positive patients craters, that means American population is growing in so-called herd immunity, according to Dr. Atlas. So, and this is also assuming the fact that the 130,000 deaths is true, because I don't buy that number. I really don't. And as we find out more people had the disease, or have the disease, and fewer people are dying, that percentage is going to keep going down. It's such a low percentage of people that died. This should have never been the panic that it was. And once again, I don't think that 130 people have passed from this, even though your mainstream media is going to try to tell you that, as they continue to tell you how many more people have shown up with the disease. So, yeah, no, this isn't an epidemic. This is an election ploy. All right. From the Daily Wire, racist Debra Messing dragged for saying Kanye West is acting disgusting for trying to take black voters from Biden. From Amanda Prestigiacomo. Over the 4th of July weekend, actress and left-wing activist Debra Messing bashed musical talent Kanye West for potentially running for the White House in 2020 and taking black voters away from former Vice President Joe Biden. In a tweet from an account that has since been protected, the Ricky DeValia tweeted to Messing, "To be clear, Kanye West is a red hat wearing MAGA lunatic, so if he's wanting to run for the presidency, it's probably a plan between Trump and Kanye to strip whatever support they can away from Biden as a last-ditch effort. That's what I believe." Messing was in agreement, and went a step further. The Will and Grace star said it was disgusting for West, who was black, to take black voters from Biden, who is white. Oh, that's a spicy one. He's playing Jill Stein. He's trying to take young black voters from Biden. It's disgusting. The comment sparked the ire of Nina Turner, the national co-chair of Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. "You can't stop dipping, can you, Debra Messing? Your connotation is racist," said Turner, who was black. "1. Black voters are not owned by anyone," she continued. "Our vote should be earned every election cycle. 2. We can think for ourselves and don't need your help. 3. Sometimes it's best to stay out of family business." Oof. Oof. Messing landed herself in hot water when she posted support for a sign that said black Trump supporters suffer from mental illness. Debra Messing apologized for recklessly supporting an Alabama church sign that said a black vote for Trump is mental illness, and defended herself against accusations of racism in a series of tweets Yahoo reported in September of last year. "I apologize for liking that church sign. I said I regret it. I should have thought before recklessly supporting," the actress reported to conservative activist and comedian Terrence K. Williams, a black Trump supporter himself. On Monday, Messing responded to Turner's reply. "Oh, please, Nina," she wrote. "Kanye is an avowed Trump supporter. Trump's numbers have plummeted. Trump doubles down on his racist platform at Mount Rushmore, and 100 days before the election, Kanye is going to announce now? I thought you were smarter than Nina. Clearly is an attempt to help." Oh. And frankly, she's not going to take any repercussions from this either. Because the mainstreams are just going to go and run cover for. In another response to Messing, Turner posted a series of 7 tweets blasting the actress for her comments and warning her to never fix your mouth to question my love for my people, noting that she has been a black woman all my life. Deborah, you go from bad to worse," wrote Turner. "The leader of the Karen Coalition strikes again. Although it's customary for Karens to call the manager on black folks, how dare you attempt to create public conflict between 2 black women leaders in the public space? Not only is it disrespectful to Stacey Abrams and me, it's disrespectful to our black foremothers who sacrificed so we could have a voice in the first damn place," she wrote. Oof. Catfight. Twitter online catfight. That's all that I'm seeing here, and it's kind of hilarious to watch. I love seeing them go back and eat their own. It is great. So, yeah, Debra Messing, once again, she's not going to face any repercussions from this, and you're probably never going to hear this from somebody outside the Daily Wire and myself, but I just thought that we, needed to talk about this here. All right, I got a few more here, and then we'll do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate. This is just hilarious. I'm sorry. This is just absolutely hilarious. I don't care about Lady Antebellum as much as people who hate country music care about Lady Antebellum. But this is just hilarious. So, let's read from The Hollywood Reporter. The band Lady A files a lawsuit against singer Anita Lady A White via the Associated Press. On June 11th, the band announced it was dropping the name Antebellum from its name after reflecting on the Black Lives Matter movement and in an effort to be more inclusive. Country group Lady A, which dropped the word antebellum from its name because of the word's ties to slavery, or being a pre-war, as many people have pointed out at this point, has filed a lawsuit against the black singer who has performed as Lady A for years. The Grammy-winning vocal group filed the lawsuit Wednesday in federal court after negotiations with Anita White broke down in recent weeks. According to the lawsuit, the band is seeking a ruling that their use of the trademark Lady A does not infringe on White's alleged trademark rights to the same name. The band is not seeking monetary damages. The group, made up of Hillary Scott, Charles Kelly, and Dave Haywood, announced the name change last month, saying they regretted not taking into consideration the word antebellum's associations with slavery. But White, who has been releasing blues and soul music for years as Lady A, complained publicly that the band never reached out to her before changing their name. Negotiations over the name failed to reach an agreement. According to the lawsuit, the band applied for trademarks for the name Lady A for entertainment services and for use on clothing back in 2010, and no oppositions were filed by any person or entity. And then you got up on your soapbox and started announcing it on country music television. Which is why this came out. When we learned that Miss White had also been performing under the name Lady A, we had heartfelt discussions with her about how we can all come together and make something special and beautiful out of this moment. Said the group in a statement, "We never even entertained the idea that she shouldn't also be able to use the name Lady A, and never will. Today's action doesn't change that." No, but you're filing a lawsuit, and this is the best part. Anita White is a black woman. So a white country group is suing a black woman for the use of the name. To take away the name that she's used for years. Where is the irony in all this? This is great. This is hilarious. And like I said, I mean, Lady A has been called Lady Antebellum rather, has been called Lady A in public discourse and general discourse for a long time. My former roommate was a big country fan. She used to say Lady A all the time. A few girls that I've dated have also done the same thing. They've been big country fans. They've said Lady A instead of Lady Antebellum. It was a nice short word. And yes, they do have merchandise that says Lady A on it. I've seen it. But once again, they didn't get up on the soapbox and announce it on Entertainment Tonight that they were changing it. And that was what brought this up. It's the same thing I always say with the fact that once you get up on the soapbox and try and be woke, bad shit's going to happen to you. And like I said, I don't really care about Lady Antebellum because they are a horrible pop country group. But this is just funny. Alright, two more, and then we'll do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate. So, archived today from the Wall Street Journal, former Fox News anchor Shepard Smith joined CNBC to host evening newscast. Because, and I've always put this out about this, the news has become about the newscasters and not what's actually happening in the country. Let's read from Joe Flint. CNBC has signed former Fox News journalist Shepard Smith to anchor a new one-hour evening news program, the network said on Wednesday. The News with Shepard Smith will debut this fall in the 7 to 8 p.m. time slot on the cable news channel. The Monday through Friday newscast marks a significant shift in the evening programming strategy for CNBC, which currently relies on light, unscripted fare. CNBC Chairman Mark Hoffman said Mr. Smith's show will try to be a counter to the news and commentary programming. Information is coming at us from every direction, Mr. Hoffman said in a statement. If we're not careful, life-altering decisions will be made based on half-truth, rumor, misdirection, or worse. We aim to deliver a nightly program that, in some small way, looks for the signal in all that noise. Yeah, it's not going to come from your network, I'm sorry. And this is coming from somebody who reads your network almost every day. NBC Universal Chief Executive Jeff Shell has previously indicated a desire to see CNBC experiment with more news and commentary programming in primetime to offer a counter to the right-leaning Fox News and left-leaning CNBC sister channel MSNBC. CNBC and NBC Universal are units of Comcast Corporation. In announcing Mr. Smith's hiring, Mr. Hoffman suggested there would be no other changes coming to the rest of CNBC's primetime lineup anytime soon. The Smith newscast will serve as the perfect bridge between CNBC's daytime investor-focused news programming and the network's aspirational business-oriented entertainment programs in primetime. Other CNBC primetime shows include The Profit, featuring businessman Marcus Lemonis on the hunt for business to invest in, and Jay Leno's Garage. The repeats of Shark Tank will also continue to be a part of the network's evening lineup. Yeah, nobody cares. Shepard Smith sucks. That's why he's not on Fox anymore. And CNBC was just looking for something else to fill their lineup with, so you didn't have to keep watching reruns of fucking Shark Tank. So, yep, the news is about the newscasters. Look at me, I'm Jim Acosta. Look over here, look at me. Alright, a little bit of sad news here before we head on out of the news for the day, though. From Fox 13 out of Tampa Bay, jogger finds human head on side of St. Petersburg Road, police say. Published a day ago with no author given. Police have shut down the road in St. Petersburg after a human head was found on the side of the road. Those are words that I never thought I would read in that order. A female jogger was out for a morning run when she spotted the gruesome discovery around 7 a.m. Police said she reported it to the agency. The decomposed remains were found near the intersection of 30th Avenue South and 1st Street South. Police said they don't believe the person died at the scene, but they say the remains likely ended up on the side of the road within the past 2 days. They said the remains were badly decomposed, making it difficult to determine the person's race or gender. It scares me as a mom, a single mom, said Carrick Nippen, who lives nearby. Detectives have closed the 30th Avenue South for investigation and are asking drivers to avoid the area. The area is near an overpass with woods on either side of the roadway. Investigators were seen combing the surrounding spots, searching for clues. She did not jog here yesterday, said Yolanda Fernandez, the spokesperson for the St. Petersburg Police Department, but says she did Sunday and it was not here on Sunday. So we're asking anyone from the public who may have seen it yesterday or seen something suspicious to let us know. Anyone with information is asked to call the police at 727-893-7780. I was born and raised here, Nippen said. This is the first time that I've really actually been scared. Imagine finding a human head on the side of the road. That's just, wow. I can't. That is something that I hope that I will never have to encounter in my life. A severed human head, decomposed. No DNA or anything that they can do with it. I mean, there's probably still some stuff in their bone cells or something you can pull some sort of DNA out of. I mean, you can do it out of a 1,000,000-year-old human skeleton that you found to determine that it was actually human, but we'll see what happens with this. But I ran across that and I thought it was really weird. All right. That's it for news for the day. Let's do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate and head on out of here. So, thing that I like today, I don't know if you guys have ever done fondue or not. I did it for the first time this past Saturday on the 4th of July because all the fireworks celebrations were shut down. We were looking for a good date night experience because she's been working so hard and our schedules don't quite mesh as much as we'd hoped to. But there's a restaurant in Brookfield, Milwaukee Metro. Apparently there's actually one in Madison as well. I didn't even realize that. Called The Melting Pot. And it was probably one of the... And I like food. I went to culinary school after I went to mechanic school because I saw the market was flooded and it didn't look like a job was going to be in my near future. So I went and started looking for a backup plan. And food has always been a big part of my life as well. So the ability to share food and share food experiences is a big thing for me. So we went to this place, and it's an interesting idea. They come out, they give you a big pot full of cheese, essentially. You cook it right up on the table, and then you dip various things like breads and fruit and vegetables and stuff like that in the cheese, and that's your first course. Then they bring you out a bunch of different meats that are uncooked and a pot of various seasoning, and you boil your meat right there on the table and eat it. It's delicious. And then they give you a big chocolate dessert because, I mean, why not throw some calories in there? And yes, I know I've been on low carb, and a lot of what I just said goes against that. But, you know, every once in a while you have to have that one day, otherwise you go insane. And I've been really back good on the low carb ever since I came out of there. But just to have that experience, it was amazing. And in maybe 6 to 8 weeks, I'll go back and try it again because it was really good. So if you guys are ever looking for something and you have a melting pot in your area, I definitely suggest that you go and check it out because it's really, really good. The service, at least in the Brookfield location, was really good too. They let you go in, they let you sit down, they brought everything out to you. It was a great experience, both atmosphere, food-wise, and the way that they even have the table set up. It was great. It was amazing. So go and check out the Melting Pot or any other fondue restaurant if you have any of them near you. If it's not a melting pot and it's still a fondue restaurant, if they're anything like the Melting Pot, you'll have a great experience, I promise. All right, and now for a thing that I hate. All right, reading again from the Daily Wire, which sometimes, depending on what stupidity Ben Shapiro has put off for the day, could be a thing that I hate in and of itself. But players can no longer make the OK hands gesture in Call of Duty Modern Warfare video games. From Emily Zanotti. Players in Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Warzone may now find themselves limited in which hand signals they can give other players while in the field, according to PC Gamer. Infinity Ward, Call of Duty's developer, has reportedly removed the OK hands gesture from the game over concerns that a signal is a racist hand sign. Fact check. You can still teabag the people after you're done. Gestures in Call of Duty are exactly what they sound like. They enable players to make gestures with their offhand towards players, to make a fist, give them a thumbs up, or throw the horns, or whatever, PC Gamer explains. They're the sort of things you see in action movies where Special Forces dudes communicate complex strategies and orders to one another with nothing more than hand waves, finger pointing, and although in video games they tend to be used more for taunts and silent smack talk. The game limits which signals players can make, however, and the OK gesture, a hand signal that involves the thumb and forefinger touching in an O with the other fingers extended, which was added earlier this year, is now banned along with the middle finger. Oh, jeez. I didn't know you could even do that in a game. I've never played a Call of Duty game, so. While the developer and Activision have yet to comment on the gesture's removal in Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone, it has been removed from the games. The patch notes don't reflect the removal. BG247 adds, Infinity War, like other corporations, recently issued a message for support for the Black Lives Matter movement and pledged in a tweet to crack down on player racism in the Call of Duty game franchise. That pledge includes adding racism monitoring and reporting systems and adding filters and greater restrictions on gameplay. And this is a thing that I hate because this is what gamers do, especially when they play back and forth with each other, is they taunt each other. Or, like I said, you can go back out after the match and teabag your opponent, and they're not going to say a word about that. They haven't removed that functionality because they'd have to remove the crouch functionality to do so. But the evil, evil OK hand symbol. That isn't even a real hate signal. That's the thing that gets me about this the most. This was a 4chan prank to try and get the ADL to do something so absurd that they would discredit themselves, and by God they did. It's amazing. But yes, keep trying to open up the opportunities for players to play with each other worldwide, and then limit their ability to communicate with each other. I just can't with this. And once again, this is from a game I've never played, but just in playing other online games with each other and just seeing the nasty shit that people say to each other. And you're going to pull this over an OK symbol? No. Fuck that. Alright. That's enough of this for the day. So, that's going to be it for news for the day. And we're going to head on out of here. I'm going to go have some breakfast and get ready for work here. So, we will be back here tomorrow. Same time. Hopefully a little bit earlier. I'm trying not to do the 7:45 thing anymore because Steven's going to be coming back. No, he's got another week out, but still, I want to get this up and out early enough so I can get the audio out for you guys going to work. I am catching up on the audio platform. I've got a couple of episodes of Ed's World left to do, and this week's Contemporary, so go check us out on the audio platform. Other than that, we will be back here tomorrow. Thanks for coming in again, and until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.